Hey grade 7s, so today we're going to take a look at another part of our circles unit. We're going to be looking at finding area. Now remember from a previous unit that we did on geometry, when we're finding area, we're basically trying to find out how many tiny little squares fit into something. So you have to imagine that we're trying to find out how many squares of a certain shape will fit on an object, on the area of an object. And it could be that each square is like 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, or 1 meter by 1 meter. But we're trying to find squares, and we're going to find out how many are on an object. You might imagine that trying to find that out on an object that is round is a little bit more complicated. Luckily, we have a formula to find this out. If you're to Google how to find area of a circle, you'll probably get this formula here, which is area is equal to pi times radius squared. And this radius squared thing is something that you're going to take a look at more next year in grade 8 math. For now, if something is squared, it just means it's multiplied by itself. That's really all we need to know. So for grade 7 math, we're going to instead write the formula as area is equal to pi times radius times radius. So whatever that radius is, you're going to multiply it twice. Notice how that is different from doing 2 times the radius. So it's not just a diameter that we're doing here. We're doing the number that is the radius times the number that is the radius again. And of course, that's quite a bit different than a diameter in most cases. So let's take a look at an example here. For today's video, we're going to use 3.14 for pi, like we usually do in our assignments. We're going to take a look at this circle here, which has a radius of 5, and we're going to use this formula. So we start off with area is equal to pi times radius times radius. We replace each of these things with the numbers that we know that they are. So area is equal to 3.14, that's the pi, times 5, because that's the radius, times 5 again, because that's the radius. And then you can multiply it out. 3.14 times 5, that's 15.7. And we multiply it by 5 again. And now we have area is equal to 78.5 centimeters squared, and there's that squared again. Because remember, anytime we're finding area, we have to have square units. So let's take a look at a couple of example questions here. So here are some example questions. The first two are easier, and then we'll get to two more complicated ones right afterwards. We're going to assume that 3.14 is what we're using for pi. I want to find the area of this circle here. Now it has a radius of 8. I'm going to choose to use this version of the formula, pi times radius. This again is one that you'll probably look at more in grade 8 math. But remember, r squared, that just means radius times radius. So these two things, they are exactly the same. We're not going to need to worry about that one. So let's fill this thing in. We're going to do area is equal to 3.14 times 8 times 8 again. We multiply it all together, and we get an answer of 200.96 centimeters squared. I know it's centimeters squared because our original unit is centimeter. So again, I just take pi times radius, and it gives me the answer. Let's try it for this one next. So once again, my radius is 6, so I'm going to do area is equal to, I replace my pi symbol with 3.14 times 6 times 6 again. I'm going to multiply these all together, and it's going to equal 113.04, and this time my units are meters squared. Why aren't they centimeters squared? Well, it's because the radius was in meters, so now my area is also meters squared. Here I've got a bit of a conundrum. I don't have a radius to work with. Luckily, I can figure one out. This is a diameter, and since diameter is basically 2 radiuses, I can divide this in half. And so if my diameter is 22, I know my radius is 11, because 11 is half of 22. So once again, I can now multiply it out. So I can say my area is equal to 3.14 times 11 again, and that will give me what my answer is. In this case, it will be 379.94, and my units are millimeters squared. So this is a very small circle, and I know it's millimeters because that's the units that we're using here for the radius and the diameter, and so my area is millimeters squared. Now, what if you have exactly half a circle and you want to find the area of it? Well, we still do the same formula, The only thing is that at the end we cut it in half, so we're just going to divide it by 2 at the end. So let's use this. I have a diameter here, so I need to know what my radius is. Half of 30 is 15, so my radius must be 15. So once again, I can just simply do 3.14 times 15 times 15 again, and that will give me what the area is. So that gives me 706.5. But that's not the end. This is just half a circle. And I found the area for it like it was a whole circle, right? Because this would be a 15 centimeter radius. This is the formula for finding area of a whole circle. So now if I want to find out what the actual area of half a circle is, I would just have to take that 706.5 and divide it by 2. And that will give me an answer of 353.25, and my units are centimeters squared. And so that would be the answer to this one. And again, it's basically the same formula. I just had to use my radius and cut it in half at the end. Now, I have a more interesting problem here. What I want to know the perimeter of the outside. So remember, the outside of a circle is called a circumference, but this isn't a full circle. Half has been cut off. There is still an outside line over here. This is the diameter. So would it be possible to find the perimeter of this shape? Well, yeah, I could find the regular circumference and cut in half, and then I could add the diameter to it afterwards. So let's give that one a try. So for circumference equals pi times diameter, I could just do 3.14 times 30. And 3.14 times 30 gives me 94.2. So that would be like a full circumference of a circle. But there's only half a circumference of a circle there. So I'm going to need to do 94.2 divided by 2 to find out what half of it would be. That comes back as an answer of 47.1. So that's the length of just this arc here, this half of the circle. Now, of course, if I'm finding a perimeter or something, I need to know the entire length of it. So how could I know this length? Well, it's been already given to me. It's 30. So to find the total length, I can just do 47.1 plus 30, and that will give me a final answer of 77.1. And my units are centimeters. Why aren't they centimeters squared? Well, I'm finding the length of something here. I'm not finding the area of it. So it's just regular centimeters that give me the length of it. So to review, to find area of a full circle, you can just do pi times radius, and that'll get you the answer. If you have a diameter, then just cut that diameter in half first, and then you can use that as a radius to find the area of a circle. If you're going to find the area of half a circle, just find the area of the whole circle. So do the whole thing, and then cut your answer in half at the end, so divide it by 2. If you had to find the perimeter of an outside of half a circle, what we do is we'll find the full circumference, cut it in half, because there's just this 1/2 of an arc there, but you'll have to add the diameter to it at the end, and that will give you the total length of the perimeter.